Hello, book lovers, and thanks for listening. I post new chapters every week. If you like my work, please remember to like and subscribe to help me build my channel. The Stillwater Girls by Minka Kent. Narrated by Jennifer Schafer. Chapter 12. Nicolette.
When does your flight leave?
My husband runs his fingertip along a row of book spines at the bookshop on Hancock Drive, Stillwater Hills' gentrified version of Main Street, where every shop and storefront has been fashioned from an old Victorian or Tudor-style manse, left over from Stillwater's coal mining heyday. This is what we do on Saturdays. We grab brunch at a sleepy cafe by the side of the road, where they know us by name, and then we head to Raven Books to pick up the latest bestsellers before returning home for an afternoon of going our own ways, which, for Brant, means holing up in his office, and for me means laundry, cleaning, and phone calls with friends and family. Sometimes I'll take a bubble bath if I'm bored, maybe do some online shopping from some of my favorite NYC boutiques that knew me by name a lifetime ago. It never used to be this way, though. Our Saturdays used to be spent between the sheets, peppered with breaks for things like showering and wine refills. We called them Naked Saturdays, which was beyond cheesy at the time, but now that they're gone, I can't remember when I stopped missing them, or when he stopped wanting them. And that says something. Didn't I tell you? I ask. Brent turns to me, one sandy blonde brow lifted. I'm not going this year. His hand falls from the spine of the alchemist, and he angles his body toward me.
Not going, as in, not going at all.
I understand where he's coming from. For the entirety of our marriage, I've spent the coldest months in Miami with my best friend Kate. The sunshine and extra vitamin D has always helped stave off the winter blues. Plus, Kate is a riot. My friendship with her is one that I'll cherish always. And while I could use a good distraction right now, I can't go. Not with all these unanswered questions lingering.
Nick.
Brent's voice softens, and I know he's going to try to reason with me.
You're sure about this?
I nod, turning my attention to the book selection before me. Plucking a copy of Atlas Shrugged from the shelf, I begin to page through it as I've done 1,000 times before, hoping this time it might capture my interest the way these kinds of books have always captured Brant's. But, alas, my tastes are still as commercial as ever.
But,
he says, coming close.
You know how you get this time of year.
Flipping the pages, I sigh. I do.
And your bad dreams,
he says, as if I need reminding, and as if I could possibly forget the reoccurring dreams about the empty, abandoned baby stroller that always seem to plague me in the colder months. They're not pleasant by any means, but I'm used to them now. I've chalked them up as a metaphor that represents my inability to have a child, and the winter months, with their barren trees and quiet skies, serve as my yearly reminder. I'm not going to let my nightmares dictate whether or not I go to Florida.
How does Kate feel about this?
He asks. She was disappointed, of course, but she's supportive. Says she'll come up here and spend a few weeks with me if I want, I say. And it's true. She could sense in my voice that something wasn't right, but I couldn't tell her then. This is the kind of thing you don't gab about with your best friend over the phone. These are the things you talk about in person, and only when you have enough proof that you don't seem like a bored and lonely housewife, manufacturing drama because you're feeling insecure.
Maybe you could still go, but for only a few weeks,
he suggests.
A month, tops.
I smirk, trying to brush him off as casually as possible. You worry too much.
I guess I just don't understand,
he says. The fact that he won't let this go is concerning, but it isn't a surprise. If anything, it simply confirms what I already thought. He wants me to go, maybe even needs me to go. Turning to Brant, I say with a smile, is there something wrong with wanting to spend more time with my husband?
Of course not. I'm just worried your blues will come back with a vengeance.
There was that one winter, the year I had the hysterectomy, after a bout of profuse bleeding that left me lying unconscious on the floor. Brant rushed me to the local ER. Everything else happened so quickly, almost as if in a vacuum of bad memories better forgotten. I vaguely recall spending 80% of my day sleeping during my recovery, wasting away to bones and using what little energy I had left listening to Brant talking to my doctor on the phone in the next room over. He was worried about me then, worried I wouldn't bounce back and be the girl he married, worried I'd never laugh or smile again. He kept using the word traumatic, but I think there are worse things people could go through. At least I'm still alive. But the thing that sticks out the most to me about that time in my life is that Brant could easily have left me back then. He could have handed me back to my parents and washed his hands of me, but he didn't. He stayed, and he took care of me. He loved me through all of it, through the crying fits and the empty stroller dreams, through the mood swings and lethargy. It's been a long time since that happened, I remind him. That first winter was brutal, and I'm still not convinced it wasn't triggered by a hormonal imbalance from the procedure. But I'm not the one with the Harvard medical diploma hanging on my wall, so my suggestions were always shot down.
Right, because you always go to Kate's for the winter.
He hasn't turned away from me since the moment this conversation started, and now he's resting a hand on his hip. His frustration is an inch thick and building.
Are you sure this is what you want to do?
Glancing back at him, I ask with a chuckle, "Why? Is this going to mess up your winter plans or something?"
Nick.
His expression falls, and he doesn't laugh. Apparently, he doesn't appreciate that I'm not taking his concerns seriously.
I'm trying to have an earnest discussion here, and this is an issue that's extremely important to me.
My stomach sinks, and I'm convinced this is double talk. His concern isn't me so much as it is preventing me from finding out about whatever it is he's hiding. "Please don't make this into a thing," I say. "I've given this a lot of thought. I've been on antidepressants for a decade now, and I want to see if I can make it through a winter up here. If it gets too hard, I promise you can put me on the next plane to Miami, and I won't put up a fight. Just let me see if I can do this. I'd at least like to try." His green eyes soften, and he reaches for my hand, lifting it to deposit a kiss.
I love you so much, Nick. I'm sorry. I worry.
"Too much," I say, head tilted and lips curled so he thinks I find this more entertaining than unnerving.
Too much,
he echoes, pressing his lips against my fingers before giving me a soundless kiss.
I just want you to be happy, and I don't know what I'd do if anything happened to you.
End of chapter 12.